Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at the 2 to 4 player game Tiny Epic Western, published by Gamelin Games. Let's go ahead down to the table here. I'm going to give you a general overview of how the game plays, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is what a general setup of Tiny Epic Western will look like. Now, Tiny Epic Western, you're going to start the game off and you're going to look at these different players, and you're going to either randomly or hand them out or let players pick. But they're going to pick one of the characters they want, and each of the characters have different abilities to them. So they're all sort of like asymmetric player powers in the game. And there's a good bit of them. The game plays up to 4 players. There's going to be 8 different characters they can be. The opposite side of this card is going to be your rules overview. So players will pick a player. They'll put that down here. And on this card here, you're going to place each of these influences on there. So there's 3 different types of influence that you can have during the game: money, law, and your gun. And so you'll place all 3 of those on one to mark that you have one of each of those. And you can spend them throughout the game for different reasons to do different things. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to do this over 6 rounds. So the game's going to go over 6 rounds, and the person with the highest score wins. Now, each round, you're going to take this building deck, and you're going to place a building in front of each of these locations. Sorry, like that. Spread these out a little better. Now, one thing to note, that if you didn't have someone playing, so you had 3 players, you would have flipped this building over, and this location would start over here, and you'd tuck it in like that. And throughout the game, this one also has one here, which is the sheriff's office, because you see a little porch here. And throughout the game, what's going to end up happening is, once at the end of the round, once these are cleared out or bought or whatever, it doesn't matter, once they're cleared out and you start a new round, you're going to take the one from the porch, you're going to flip it up here, and then you're going to put a new one here. But that's how those guys work. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to shuffle up this deck of cards here, and you're going to place a card between each location. I did mess up here. The building doesn't go here. This is actually the rival location, so you got a card right there. Next, each player is going to get 2 cards, and they're going to pick one of them and discard the other one face down. Now, the importance for this is, at the different locations, if you want to win this pot, so at the end of the round you can win the pot at the location, which is going to be this right here. So I'll go over some symbols real quick here, but basically this symbol here with the hourglass means that it occurs at the end of the round, and other symbols like this one here happen immediately. So that's what you're going to be doing, is you're going to be trying to compare these to any other people that are at the location or the rival, which is here. And when you do that, you're going to take a look at this chart right here. Whoops, I have it upside down, sorry. This chart right here, and it's going to tell you which suits are higher right here, and what combinations are higher than other combinations. So 3, 4, 5 with the same suit is the highest, and so on and so forth. And so this is going to be how you're going to determine what you're going to be doing, and you can take a look at these cards and you can look at the different locations and figure out where you're going to have the best hand at, and that might influence where you're going to put your workers. Now, each player also at the start of the game gets 3 of these workers. One of them goes face down, so lays down, and you can't use them, and the other ones are standing up. So throughout the game, what you're going to do is you're going to take turns, and you're going to put these workers at the different locations. And when you're placing the workers at the different locations, you're going to get those benefits. So like this one has a porch, and you're going to have porches in your areas too. You could place your worker here, and then you get to do whatever it says here. Or you can place your worker at these different locations here, and with a little exclamation, they happen immediately. So if I have a worker here, you notice there's two different sides. I have to pick a side, and I put it on that, and then I get that. Or I put it here, and I can get this at the end of the round if I'm still there. So you're going to go around the table and keep doing this until everyone's out of workers. Now, you could only, so this one has one worker here and one worker. You can only put one here. You can't put a second one here, even though you're picking sides. There are some exceptions to that, and that's if your worker is laying down. And how that's going to happen is if a rival comes into that location. So if a rival comes into that location, there's going to be a fight. And fights are pretty simple in this game. The way they're going to work out is each player is going to roll these little bullet die. And so this is player 1, this is player 2. The person with the highest number here will win, and the loser will lay down. Now, that's not entirely it. Now, remember, you have some of these resources on these cards. So you're going to have, so in the card, you're going to have your number set up for how many resources you have, and you're going to have these little resources. Now, if you are the attacker, you could use force, which I think I called ammo, but it's force, to increase the, well, actually doesn't increase it, re-rolls. So for every force that I spend, I can re-roll this die. If I'm the defender, I can use law. So for every law influence that I spend, I can re-roll that die. I can also reveal my poker hand, and once it's revealed, it's done. So if I had this 4 here, I could reveal this 4 and use it to increase my number, and then everyone knows what my poker card is. Once everyone's done picking how many times they want to reroll, if they want to reveal their card, and once it's revealed, it's done, so you're not going to be able to do it like repeatedly, just that one time. You take the end results and finalize them. And whoever had the highest, like I said, won, and the other person's person lays down. So now that's the only exception in the game. Now that this person has been taken out, I can actually go back to this location. So I can place down here, and I can also duel again, and I could fight this guy if I wanted to, and have multiple laying down. Although when it comes to the end of the round, you don't necessarily want to put all your people in one place. So one thing I forgot was that you will get the wanted poster if you win the fight. The wanted poster is really nice because if you have it at the end of phase 3, which is 6, I believe there's 6 phases in a game, you're going to get 1 influence. So basically, when we're wrapping up the round, you'll get 1 influence of your choice of any resource. You also, at the end of the game, will get 2 points if you hold it all the way to the end of the game, or you end up with it at the end of the game. Okay, so now, once everyone's placed all their stuff out, and they're all done with that, that will begin phase 3. And then that's point, this is when you're going to get your influence in any resource you want from the wanted poster. And what you're going to do then is you're going to resolve any of the places that you have your workers at that have this little hourglass on. And most of them are just going to give you more resources. Then all players are now going to reveal their poker hands, and they're going to resolve locations they're at for the loot that they can get. Now, you don't have to have an active meeple there. Like this player, yellow and green, will compare hands to see who wins this loot. And whoever has the best hand will win the loot, and they'll get all of that. Now, if you have a tie, which it is possible in this game, because one of the things I didn't talk about is mainly in this sheriff's office, you can do a couple different things. You can raise or lower the number of the card, which is mandatory. and you can raise or lower the suit of the card, which is mandatory. So if you did that, you could technically have the same value, and if that's the case, both players actually get the loot at the location. So you're going to go around and resolve that, and if there's no other players there, you have to fight the rival. So the rival will flip his card, and if you beat that one, that's fine. So then, after that's finished, you can go and buy these different locations. And this is a two-part phase in the final phase. The first part of the phase is going to be the buying. The second part is going to be advancing these industry tokens, which I'll explain in a second, and that's going to be the main component in the game. Now, what you're going to do is players can only buy buildings and card mats where they currently have their tokens. So if the yellow player only is here and whatever here, they can only purchase from here or here. Now, to purchase a card, they're going to have to actually spend the resources here. So they'll have to have like 3 law and 3 money. And once they do, then they can place this building on their colored location. So each, whatever matches their color location, they can have there. Now, this is a permanent building that anyone can go to. If they go to it, it's fine. They get the ability. If an opponent goes to it, the person that owns the location gets to go up in 1 money influence. So the order for buying these locations is going to be whoever had the best hand is going to pick first, and then so on, and then be done. Once that's all done, then you're going to be advancing these industry cards. Now, these industry cards here, or industry tokens, are actually what's going to determine what wins the game. So you'll notice that each of these locations has these different symbols here, and this matches the industry locations. Now, when you're moving the industry locations, whoever had the best hand comparatively to these 2 cards beside it will get to move the industry token. When they move the industry token, they can move it along the track. This is going to be the most valuable, so everyone that has the person who has the most of this resource is going to get 5, the person that has the second most is going to get 3, and everyone else gets nothing. When you move these, 3 of these tokens can be in the 3rd place, 2 of these tokens could be in the 2nd place, and 1 of the tokens can be in the 1st. So if I have if I have 2 tokens here, this token right here is locked in. And then the next move could only be 1 of these to this place. So that's how that works. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Basically, at the end of the 6 rounds, you're going to do scoring. You're going to take a look at where the industry tokens are, and you're going to get points based on if you have the most of those, or the second most, depending on the player count. Once you get that score, then you're going to take all of your buildings, and the number listed on the building you're also going to get points for. You'll add up all those points, and the person with the most points wins the game. And that, in a nutshell, is how Tiny Epic Western plays. Let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, I really like Tiny Epic Westerns. It's a really good game. I like trying to figure out which buildings to build. I like actually trying to influence how the industries get placed for the point scoring. I like all the different worker placement elements. I like the fights. Now the fights, I try not to get into them too often because they sort of they tie up the meeples in different areas. And sometimes you just don't want to go where the other player is. The other thing too is your hand of cards that you picked at the beginning, so the 1 card you pick, does actually influence where you want to place those workers. So it's a big consideration for that too. I like having to decide whether you just want to go to a place where even though you don't think you're going to win the poker hand at the end, but you need those resources, so you might not get the pot, but it's still worth it going there because maybe you want to buy the building in front of it or whatnot. So there's a lot of different options other than simply just winning the pot on each of the locations throughout the board. Overall, there's a lot of decisions you can make throughout the game. There is a lot of depth to the game itself, and there's a lot of replayability, mainly in the large stack of buildings that are in there and the randomness of the cards that go out for your poker hands. So overall, if you like a Western theme and you like the Tiny Epic line, this is definitely one that I think you should check out. And that's Tiny Epic Western and my thoughts on it. Thank you for watching.